you. All right, so this is the publicity webinar number 1. I am one of the moderators, Kristen Richmond. Pam, I'm not sure if we've met, but I'm the volunteer engagement manager. So I know you're familiar with Edith.
Right.
I work very closely with Edith. And so, you know, of course, she's a guru for health fairs, but I do have a lot of experience with publicity and communications and marketing, as does Allison, who I'm going to have introduce herself in just a second. So we're here for any kind of, you know, help, anything like that. Are you the publicity coordinator, Pam?
I'm not. I'm the non-medical coordinator.
Okay, cool. So you're kind of person's going to bring back all the goodies and information back to the team.
Hopefully.
Yeah, thank you for doing that. And even, you know, I'm recording this, so I'm going to send it out to everyone, so everyone's going to have this resource. Allison, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, Pam. I'm Allison. I'm the marketing coordinator with 9 Health. Yeah, I'm excited to help you all out with whatever you need.
And I'd have the folks who are, you know, watching the recording introduce themselves, but they cannot. So you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
I've been with Health Fair probably 15, 20 years.
Awesome.
I've been a non-medical coordinator. I've done the whole fair, been the coordinator for the whole fair.
Wow.
I've worked with Edith. I've worked at the health, down at the health building, and when they used to have the children's part of it.
Yes, that education piece. Mm-hmm.
Right. I used to come in and clean all the stuff when it came back from the schools and make sure everything was in the boxes that needed to be and all that kind of stuff. So.
Right on. We have a lot of experience. I'm afraid so much of what I'm going to tell you today is going to be review for you.
Well, that's all right.
It has been a couple of years, so hopefully, you know, it'll be a good review. And, you know, a lot of what I'm going to say too, we have a lot of new health fair sites this season. So a lot of this information I will dive into, and it's really for those folks who are watching the recording as well, just so we all kind of understand what's needed, what's expected, and what we have available for you to use already. So let's get started. I don't think we're going to use the entire hour. So the first thing I always like to mention to teams is that it's really helpful to have a designated publicity coordinator. Now, because these fairs are so pared down this year, teams can definitely get away with not having a publicity coordinator. But, you know, even though these fairs are pared down, there's still so much going on in everyone's life. And so it's just really helpful to be able to delegate, right? Delegate those important things that we need to do, meet those deadlines that we need to get out to recruit participants, or, you know, get the word out for the fair, make it on time for online reg opening or our volunteer system opening up. And we always, you know, want to bug people if we can and not have to always bug the site leader. So we like to, you know, spread the love in how we communicate with you guys. So it is important to let us know if you have designated a publicity coordinator. How you do that is by going on to the fair management system, which this will mostly be site leader information. Obviously, the other coordinators do have the ability to get in there. Most often it's the site leader going in and putting in all this information. So you do have the ability to tell us which coordinator, if you have the extra ones that are not required. Can you all see my screen again? I switched.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously this, you know, it shows all the health fairs. I have a different view than you all, but if you do go into your, this is what you'll see. This co-coordinators right here is where you're going to go in and you can add co-coordinators. And one of the selected ones is publicity coordinator. So then if they're not already in our system, you can just start typing. And then if they don't come up, I'm just going to type your name, Allison, because I don't think you're in there. Haha. If they don't come up, then you can just click new And then you're going to add in their information. And what this does is it gives us this information. So that way, when I download all the coordinators' information, I say, ooh, this site has a publicity coordinator. I'm not going to bug the site leader. I'm going to go ahead and just communicate with the publicity coordinator. So it just helps us out. If you're not able to have a publicity coordinator or anything like that, it's okay. It's just really helpful for us and for you. So I always like to start out with that. And of course, it doesn't need to just be one person, right? I'm all about delegating, like I said. So if it wants to be like more of a team effort where everyone's kind of doing the publicity, that's awesome. Have contests, get competitive about it, see who can beat what, and or just work as a team and come up with fun ideas on how to reach new people. So with all of these things, I think it's more fun if you have fun with it. So for this publicity webinar, I'm going to really focus on volunteer recruitment. We are going to be opening up the volunteer management system on February 21st for volunteers to start signing up for their desired day of the fair positions. Now, of course, if your fair is not using our volunteer management system, that's okay. You just have to make sure that in whatever, information, communication you're putting out, you're putting your own contact information in there. One of the benefits of using our volunteer management system is really that we can help you in that recruitment process. It's a lot easier for us. We'll be putting out all sorts of, widespread volunteer recruitment publicity efforts, but those are going to be directed towards our volunteer site. So if your site's not listed on there, you're not really benefiting from that overall publicity effort that we're doing. It's not wrong. There's lots of fairs that have success in, recruiting and managing all of their own volunteers. We just, we want to be as much help as possible. So if you do want to use our volunteer management system, just let us know, and we can get your volunteer positions in there, include it on all of our overall efforts, and then also direct them there. And then it just makes it easier because a lot of the resources that we give you already has all of our contact information in there. So you don't even have to change it. You can just put in your health fair's name. It's good to go, send out, and then we can help you in that recruitment process. So
if we wanted to put something on Facebook, then you would send us what we can put on it, or?
Yeah, so we have lots of resources, and I will get into that. We actually have a full success packet where we have sample social media posts, we have sample email, text, all of this. So you're more than welcome to create your own, or you can use ours exclusively, or you can use ours as a starting point and customize it and put your own information, put your own spin on it. I truly believe that all of these health fairs are by the community for the community. And so your community best. So if there's other language that that works, or specific call outs to a local community, absolutely, please put all of that in there. Our resources are really more of a starting point, but we do offer all of those resources for you. Great question, Pam. Okay. So I have a list on here, and it's basically just, ideas. A lot of you have probably already thought of this, already used this, maybe use these type of tactics with your own organization. So we're not reinventing the wheel here. We're just kind of putting it all in one place. So that way it's just easier to get started. So if you're a returning site, obviously you have a list of prior year volunteers. So you can start out by emailing those volunteers, putting it in your local newsletter or something like that. If you don't have your volunteers already, or if you don't have that prior list, you're starting out really more generally. But the cool thing of all of these great leadership teams is you all are part of great community organizations and great community networks. So really utilize those. I mean, I know we think a lot about like participant recruitment, but I just wanted to bring it back to that basics, because volunteers really are just the heart of every single community health fair. So getting to them and, really showing that importance as soon as possible is going to help. And these channels will definitely get you started. So how you find all of the publicity tools that we have for you on our website. So first of all, it's our volunteer management website. So it's that separate URL. It's 9healthvolunteer.org. and how you get to this lovely page here where I have every resource linked for you. You're going to go to that www.9healthvolunteer.org, and let me actually, whoops. I have it here for you. So when you log into your coordinator dashboard, it's going to look like this. If it doesn't look like this, you need to tell your liaison and we will fix it for you, because this is how it should look. So once you log in, the way you're going to get to the publicity tools and the resource library is going to the front of the website. When you log in, you are now placed on the back end of the website. I know it looks different, but we have training tools that will help you, but that's really a whole separate topic. So once you're here, you're just going to go up here and you're going to click View Site, and that's going to take you to the front end of our volunteer website. Once you're here, this will look familiar. This is what all of our normal volunteers see. And by normal, I just mean like our regular users. And what you're going to do is you're just going to go down here, 9 Health Fair Resource Library. Your publicity tools are right in here. And then there's lots of information here for you all. Anything that's underlined is a link for you to download. There's some items that are still coming. We're still working on them, but everything you need to start your recruitment of volunteers is here for you. Those are completed and those are there. So check it out, start exploring. The best way to figure out what's on here is to check it out. So whenever you have spare time, just, peruse the resource library. We have lots of amazing resources in there for you. So a review of some of the resources that we have. First and foremost, the first thing that's linked on our publicity tools section is a new resource we've created. Actually, the lovely Allison created it. It's beautiful. It's a success packet. So this gives you all lots of information and sample information on emails, on social media posts. We talk about flyers and the best way to get those out. And the really cool thing about this resource, we're not just giving you sample copy. We're not just like saying, yeah, here you go, good luck. Allison's actually put in some tips and tricks and things that really demystify the process. Sometimes, we give you a sample, say, the public service announcement for radio. We say, hey, this is the 15-second bite. This is the 30-second bite. But now in this packet, we actually say, this is how you contact these radio stations. This is where you go. This is the procedure. Lots of folks that are trained in marketing communication, we know these things. It's common to us, but not everyone knows how to do that. So we really wanted to kind of break down those barriers and really show you that it's super easy. You just got to get started. We have some helpful links in there for you. So really take a deep dive in this. It's a lot of information, so don't get, too overwhelmed by it, but a lot of it really is sample copy. So once you kind of get past all of the examples that you can just copy paste, plug in and use, you can see really those resources and the helpful tips and tricks that we have in there for you. So download it, check it out. If you have any questions, definitely reach out to us, but there's a lot of good information to get you started in this packet. So when we're communicating with volunteers, whether it's, the recruitment side of things where you're really starting that conversation, but also continuing that conversation, right? Volunteer recruitment doesn't just happen in a one-off, yay, they signed up. We really want to make sure that we're communicating with them regularly to remind them, say they signed up like 2 months ahead of time. I don't know about you, but I forget things. It's very easy to do. Most people do. So we just got to make sure that we're keeping this information in all of our communication as it rolls up to the fair. So some things we want to make sure that volunteers are aware of, especially during the time of COVID, is that masks are required. We will supply them for you, but of course, most people just bring theirs. We're giving each site 50 masks. And most importantly, if they're sick, if they are sick, ask them to stay home. Some sites will put out that, or do you have a cough? Do you have a fever? All of this. You can do that. You cannot do that. I feel like most people are pretty aware of the symptoms that we want you to be like, you're gonna stay home. Thank you. So just most people know it, but just making sure we're continually reminding them it's important. And, you know, if they're feeling sick and we've been telling them, they're more likely to cancel sooner, and maybe we can replace their volunteer position. So that's kind of the thinking there. Of
They
course,
taking temperatures the day of?
some sites are, we are not making it a requirement.
Okay.
Yeah. Of course, we still have the volunteer discount for all of our volunteers. The threshold for that is volunteering minimum of an hour, which all of our health fair volunteers are going to do. So it's just really encouraging them to take advantage of those screenings. And also when they take advantage of the screenings, they not only, I mean, take care of their health, that's the first and most important thing, but they're also experiencing the services if they haven't experienced it before. And I mean, honestly, volunteers are our greatest source of, you know, word of mouth. If they are using these, if they're seeing a benefit from it, they're more likely to say, hey, you should volunteer with me, or hey, you should attend the health fair and take advantage of these screenings. Because even without that 20%, they're still super affordable.
Right.
We do hear from a lot of volunteers, they're like, oh no, I don't need the 20%. That's okay, give it to someone else. We do give out free screenings and they're not tied to one another. So if you guys do experience that little pushback, totally fine. They don't have to use the 20% off if they don't want, but we do see it as an incentive and making it easier for our volunteers to also prioritize their health as they're helping their community prioritize their health. So we just want to make sure that volunteers are aware of that. And honestly, it's a really good incentive to get them to volunteer as well. Other incentives to help them volunteer that are good in volunteer communication, letting them know where food will be provided. They might be there for 5 hours and it's natural to get hungry. Not all organizations feed their volunteers. We love that we feed our volunteers. We used to be known for those big food spreads. Mm-hmm. Of course, during COVID, scale that back a little bit, right? But we can still do our best to provide for our volunteers. And I know you know that, Pam. And our other sites, you can use the site grant or ask for food donations or whatever it may be. We just want to take care of our volunteers. Another piece of that is now all DAYA volunteers are getting free t-shirts. I don't know about you, but when I volunteer with other organizations, I love free t-shirts. I can't get enough of them. And so we're not just providing that for our DAYA volunteers or our leadership volunteers, also the DAYA volunteers. And part of that too is wanting them to stick out among our participants when they're at the fair. So that was part of that too, but they'll also still get the pins and we have little stress balls and things like that. So there's lots of goodies. I just think the t-shirt is the most fun.
So is on the volunteer site, is there a size for the t-shirt for them when they put their information in? So we don't have to keep contacting everybody?
That is a really good point, Pam. I have never thought of that. It's not a part of our volunteer system. What I would say is to order a variety. If you do have the ability to ask volunteers in your, say like, your very first confirmation email, thank you so much for signing up, we need 2 things from you. Maybe there's something else you need to know about the volunteer.
Right.
And then just put that in there as like a please reply. That's a really great point that we did not think of as we opened this up for all volunteers, right? It can be hard to estimate. I'm terrible at estimating numbers. So yeah, I can understand how that might feel daunting. Yes. So great question. That's definitely my suggestion. And I'll put that. I appreciate you mentioning that because we will be putting the t-shirt ordering process in the March Nuts and Bolts newsletter. So I'm going to be sure to add that to make sure other volunteer leadership teams know how to do that and to make sure that we can get the right sizes for volunteers.
Yeah.
And then of course, in the communication, how they can share this opportunity with others, how they can get their friends to volunteer, what other ways they can get involved, things like that. So these are few of the social media graphics that Allison has created for folks to download. You'll notice that some of them list our contact information and some of them don't. So depending on sites and whether or not you're using our volunteer system, might depend on which graphics you use. So just pay attention to that. With these other graphics, whether you're using your own system or you're doing it manually or you're using our system, you just need to make sure in the social media post to say, this is how you sign up. This is who you contact to sign up. So just not all of our graphics will show that. So just paying attention when we're posting them on social media. So that way you don't get a lot of comments like, this is cool, but what do I do? How do I sign up? It can be very easy oversight to do. So this is just a little general overview of the different social media platforms. These are the most frequent social media platforms. Of course, you can use other ones. I have always, since I started with this organization, wanted someone to get involved in TikTok. This may not be your site, Pam, but I think some site out there, your users and your audience and your participants are on TikTok. I'm just kidding. You don't have to use TikTok. I think it would be fun.
That's more for somebody who's got younger people.
Right.
Ours are all old.
You know, I see people of all ages on TikTok, and some of them are like, I'm really old. You wouldn't expect me to be on TikTok, but here I am,
Right.
and like doing great things. Yeah. So that's just an aside. I get off track easily, so you guys got to keep me focused. So Instagram is really more about pictures and short videos. It's really meant to be bite-sized information. You don't want to write a whole paragraph on there. You don't want to put links in the text because they can't click them. Usually people will put them in the bio of your Instagram profile, and then folks can go in there and click it. You just have to say link in the bio. Or it can just be a video. I find that way more helpful on Instagram. And then you can just put like 30-second video on there, say who we are, why it's cool to volunteer, what you're doing for the community. Here's how you sign up in a 30-second video, short, sweet, to the point. Of course, share your story. Most people do. It's a different way for folks to see your content. All of these platforms have algorithms. So if you put them on your post and you put them on your story, you're more likely to get people to view it just because of the algorithms. And the more people interact with your post, the more people will see it. So putting something in there like, are you a past volunteer? Comment with your favorite experience, or, just a different way to get folks involved. That engagement will really help your posts be viewable to others. On Facebook, pictures, you can share big flyers. Of course, videos work well on Facebook as well. Tag folks, that's really important. Again, just kind of, you can get more into detail on Facebook. Folks that, go through Facebook are more likely to read a full post if you do put like a paragraph in there. I would steer away from long paragraphs. However, you can break things up, just kind of keep conscious of, if you would take the time to read it, cool. If you're typing it and you're like reviewing it yourself, which you should always do, always reread your posts before you post them. But if you're going through it and you're like, oh man, I just spent like 30 seconds to a minute reading this paragraph, probably shorten it. It's better to be more concise than to be wordy. On Twitter, this is really, you can put graphics and things on there, but I really see Twitter as more of like a conversation type platform, more like current events and things like that. So if you can work your health fair into, like, say March is colon cancer awareness month, capitalize on that. Say, hey, we have colon cancer screening kits at our health fair. Here's why you should come. Here's why you should volunteer to help give access to these important resources. So tying it into current events, current topics, things people are talking about. Obviously, this is important across all the platforms, but especially on Twitter if you're going to utilize Twitter. And of course, you can only put a certain number of characters on Twitter, so use your words wisely, which is just good advice in general. Hashtags. Hashtags are cool. Hashtags can also be annoying if you don't use them right. Get really basic. In our success packet, Allison has listed out all of the hashtags that we use on our platforms and our social media posts. she has designated, hey, maybe you shouldn't use, hashtags on Facebook. It's more appropriate for Instagram or Twitter. So we do have, different rules and expectations and things that we've lined out for folks hashtag wise in the success packet, in the publicity tools. But this is just kind of a good overview because honestly, hashtags really work when the people that you're talking to are already using them, are already searching for topics and conversations within that hashtag. So, maybe the city of Aurora has a hashtag, use it. Maybe your church or your local community has a hashtag. If it doesn't, create one. If they, have their own handle, their own page, tag them in it, tag us, things like that. Just basically use hashtags that your community is going to recognize, that your volunteers are going to recognize, hashtag volunteer, volunteer Aurora, things like that, things that are topical to the subject matter that you're talking about and to the community that you're talking to. And of course, before you use something, definitely search it within that platform to see if, because it could be something innocuous to you, but if you search it and then all of a sudden you see these conversations are not something that you would like your health fair to be associated with, don't use it. But you wouldn't know that unless you searched it. So before you use any hashtags that you're not aware of, you've never used before, please, please, please search it. This is one of the example Facebook posts that we have in the success packet. There's a few other ones, and Allison kind of broke it out too with like timing wise, as you get closer to your fair, this is more of what you should say, things like that. So there's a lot of, again, great reference points in the success packet. But you'll notice here, this is more of a general post that we would potentially do. Obviously, when you use it, put your health fair's information in there. So details about the time and location, obviously a link to our system or contact information if you're doing it yourself, details about the shifts if you do have multiple shifts or just the time frame in general, mask requirements that, if people are compromised or they're sick, maybe they shouldn't be volunteering this year, and that's okay. Maybe there's other ways they can get involved in your planning efforts or in your outreach or something like that. So keeping that in mind when you're talking with volunteers. And then in all the social media posts, no matter if it's for recruiting volunteers or recruiting your participants, please tag us. It helps us share it for you, which extends your reach and allows more people to see it. So it really just benefits you as much as it does us. So videos are great. Videos create excitement. I don't know about you, but when I go through social media and I'm just scrolling, I'm way more likely to stop on a video than I am a picture full of text or a post full of text. Just because the way people intake information, we have small attention spans, not just my generation, but other generations as well. So it's just, however you can make the material more accessible and more easily understood and I don't know what the word I'm trying to say, but the easier you make it for folks to understand what you're trying to tell them, the more likely that they're going to act on whatever you're asking them to do, whether it's signing up to volunteer, whether it's sharing it with a friend, whether it's attending the fair, registering online prior to, whatever it is, really making it easy for them to understand. And videos just really do that very well. They don't have to be long. I think, it's really fun to, especially if you're doing this for recruiting volunteers. Now, obviously, you might create a video later to recruit your participants, but don't, it's also important if you want to create one for recruiting volunteers. Get your leadership team together. Maybe you talk about fun experiences you've had at prior years' health fair, what you're excited about this year, things that volunteers get out of it. Maybe, your site's been running a while, so maybe you have standout day of the fair volunteers that are just always excited to come back. when you recruit them, maybe reach out to them and ask if they'd like to send in a 30-second video about why they think it's important to volunteer. Anything, anything like that. It doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be long. It just needs to be engaging. So just think about that when you're creating videos or when you're thinking about creating a video. And of course, tag us in all your posts. We have the handles right here. Twitter is the only one that's different. So just keep that in mind when you are posting. We also have customizable flyers this year. We had ones in the past and they were not very visually appealing. They had a lot of color on them. It was expensive for you all to print. This has a lot more white space on there, and it is a Word document that you download. So all of this text here, obviously the address and all of that, where you can register it, that's all customizable. So you can download that from our publicity tools section, open your Word. Hopefully you have Microsoft Word on your computer, and then you can just edit away, download, print as you please. If you do need custom flyers that we make for you, we can do that. Because there is over 40 fairs, we're not just going to go ahead and create all of those to begin with. We do that for the fall fairs, but it's a lot less of them. Some people have great marketing experience. Some of these health fairs, you may be utilizing your organization's marketing department to do some of your publicity. So they're going to have these skills. They're going to have the tools to customize flyers, to create their own. We give you logos of ours in the publicity tool, so you can just pop our logo right in there if you are creating your own flyer. But if you don't have the ability to create your own flyer, you don't have the ability or comfort in customizing this template that we give you, reach out to Allison and I with your request, with all of your information that you want included, who to contact, date, time, all of that. We may have that information in our spreadsheets, but we have a lot of information and a lot of spreadsheets. So if you can include all that information that you want on the flyer right there in the email, the chances of us getting that flyer back to you sooner go up a lot. So just help us out if you do want that custom flyer, but we are happy to make it for you. So just keep that in mind. And of course, last but certainly not least, I kind of alluded to this and mentioned it earlier in this webinar, but volunteers are really our greatest source of outreach. Of course, we as 9 Health will do lots of marketing overall for all of our health fairs. Of course, you all will have your own efforts, whether you're putting it into local newspapers, maybe you're putting it into your church bulletin, maybe you're with a school system and you're asking them to disseminate it across all the parents. Maybe you're getting on a local radio station, a community calendar, all of that. That is great. But I don't know about you, but when I am learning about something new or I'm learning about a new service in the community, I'm way more likely to do it when a friend is telling me, when a family member is telling me, when a coworker that I trust is telling me. Those thought leaders in the community, of course, you all already are those thought leaders, but we need to also capitalize on the other thought leaders that we have at our disposal. And this is these volunteers. They're already passionate about getting involved. They clearly already believe about what we're doing and how we're doing it. So it's really important to capitalize on those volunteers. I mean, they're just coming day of to help out, but so many volunteers, maybe they're doing it for work, maybe they're doing it for school, and they're always looking for more ways to get involved, more hours to do volunteering. So if you can even just present these ideas to your volunteers, some will take you up on the offer. Of course, some will not. They're like, no, I'm cool. I just want to come day of, do my 5-hour bit and call it good. Totally fine. But you're going to find those volunteers that are really interested in sharing this information and this resource with their community, not just to, maybe you need some more volunteers, but just to get people to come to your fair and utilize your services, because the more people that can use this service, the more people are going to catch their diseases sooner, and we're going to save lives. So just put out the request to your volunteers and you will be surprised as to how many will take you up on the offer to just, maybe it's a social post, maybe it's just an email to their family and friends, you know, whatever it is, just, you know, offer it to them, give them the resources when they say yes, and help them along the way. If, you know, they really want to get more involved, connect them to myself or to Allison, and we can also provide those resources to help them with the outreach. Maybe one of those volunteers wants to become your publicity coordinator. Maybe they're just that passionate about outreach. Great, utilize them. So just, you know, never stop thinking about ways to spread the word to folks, and really utilize those tools that you have right offhand. So that's it. As I promised, we did not take the full hour. So the next publicity webinar number 2 is coming up on March 1st, same time on a Tuesday. Please RSVP. It is in the event section on our website, on the volunteer engagement website. And that's where the Zoom link details is in there as well. So while you're in there looking for the Zoom details, you might just will go ahead, hit yes up in the top corner, and RSVP that you're going to attend on March 1st. Not just talking to you, Pam, I'm talking to everyone else who's watching this recording. And then, so because in the second webinar, we're really going to dive deeper into participant recruitment and what you really need to be doing leading up to your fair, not just with, you know, communicating with participants, but also putting up your banner, putting out your coming soon signs. There's lots of things that leading up to your fair are important to do. So we're going to be talking about that and diving a lot deeper into those resources. Finally, you've been great, Pam, and you've been asking questions along the way. But do you have any lingering questions?
Nope, I think I'm good.
Wonderful. All right. Well, those are our emails. I mean, I've been emailing all of you, so you all have my email, but this is Allison's email if you do want to reach out to her as well. We're here to support you. We're here to help you. So just let us know how we can help.
Okay.
That's it. I hope you have a good rest of your night, Pam. Thanks for joining us. And thanks to everyone who's watching. I appreciate your time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.